What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video, and welcome to your stimulus package update and daily news report. This is Saturday, December 4th. Hopefully you guys are having a good weekend so far, but let's get into the update. First, I want to give you an update on stimulus checks, what we're seeing there, because a lot of people keep on asking. We're seeing COVID cases increase. We are seeing hospitals are almost overwhelmed with new COVID patients. Are we going to see a fourth stimulus check? Well, I'm going to address that. Then I'm going to get to some infrastructure news. We're going to talk about climate change and give you some daily news for today. But first, let's talk about these stimulus checks, because this is the number one question I get in the comments is, are we getting a fourth stimulus check? Are we getting a stimulus check? When is the stimulus check coming? How big will our next stimulus check actually be? Well, I want to address that. Right now, and over the past week or so, we've learned of a lot of different things. First, some state hospitals are actually overwhelmed with new COVID cases. That's not great. The Omicron variant is now here in the United States in multiple states, and millions of Americans are weighing the decision, should they go back to work and risk their health or just stay home? Well, here's what I can tell you. Because of the new cases, many people have asked, are we going to get a fourth stimulus check? Because I really need it. Are we going to get a fourth stimulus check? Because I have to have some form of income, and right now I can't go back to work. So here's what I can tell you. First, we are seeing stimulus checks, but these are coming from cities and states. These aren't coming from the federal government. Now, the money is technically from the federal government because cities and states are using some of their federal stimulus funds in order to pay for these stimulus checks, but they're not coming directly from the federal government. You're not going to get this check from the IRS. It's going to come directly from your state. Now, here's what I can tell you. Our federal government will not be sending out a fourth stimulus check because of multiple things. First, what we are hearing is that right now, the Federal Reserve is considering tapering and pretty much eliminating their stimulus funding. The Federal Reserve is planning on doing that. Okay? They're planning on doing that because our unemployment rate has fallen to 4.2%. Now, this is the best it has been during the entire pandemic. The best. 4.2%. However, if you ask some people, the reason why it's 4.2% is because some people have actually just left the workforce, are not planning on coming back to work, have retired, and because of this, that's why we're at 4.2%. But really, we should be closer to 9 to 10%. So, because of this news that we're at 4.2%, the Federal Reserve is planning on tapering, eliminating any stimulus that they are bringing in. That is the reason why we're not going to see any stimulus checks. In addition, we're trying to combat inflation. So providing a stimulus check at this time is not going to help with inflation. So at this time, are we going to see a stimulus check? My answer is no, not from the federal government. However, I am very optimistic we're going to see more cities and states providing stimulus money to their residents very soon. So as soon as we get more information on which states and which cities are, I promise I will bring you that update as soon as possible. Now, a lot of people have questioned whether or not our government leaders are even fit for their jobs, fit for duty. Well, what I can tell you is there's a lot of people that question this, a lot. You're not the only one that have questioned this, right? Many lawmakers have said in the past that there needs to be an age limit because there's too many people that have really exceeded the amount of time that they should be spending in the House or the Senate. Some even argue that lawmakers' vision of reality becomes very cloudy after decades in office. And that's probably true. But even billionaire Elon Musk, he had this to say on Thursday, and he says, and I quote, "Let's set an age limit after which you can't run for political office, perhaps a number just below 70. Now, let me just give you an idea. There are 30, as of right now, as of today, there are 31 senators in the Senate that are over the age of 70. That means 69 senators would still be able to run. Okay? However, let me ask you this. Do you believe there should be an age limit? Or do you think we are fine the way we are? And if you think there's an age limit, what should that age limit be? 50, 60, 70, 80 years old? Let me know. I'm curious because this is something that we have heard multiple times is there are certain lawmakers, whether it's in the House or the Senate, there are certain lawmakers that they keep on proposing the same thing, the same type of bill. Yet, even though our economy changes, the world changes, their ideas don't change. And they keep proposing the same thing over and over again without really growing with our economy. And so I'm just curious, do you think there should be an age limit? Let me know down in the comment section below. Now, our Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, he showed a little bit of skepticism this past week over the Build Back Better Act. Even though he still believes that we're going to get a vote before Christmas, it's starting to seem like he is skeptical that we're actually going to see it pass. Here's what I can tell you. Senate aides were initially told to be ready for a vote to happen before Christmas. However, over the past week, they have not been told much. They haven't been told that there's going to be a possible vote. And this makes many wonder if this is just the way Democrats are going to try to play. Are they just going to try to play this game, make it seem like, yes, we're going to vote on this, but then at the last minute, something else comes up. They just can't do it. But it's most likely due to the fact that Senator Joe Manchin is reluctant on passing a bill in 2021. Everybody keeps saying that even though he says, yes, let's vote, all signs point to the fact that he is not going to support the bill, and because that Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer will not put the bill on the floor. So we'll see what happens there. But with this delay in voting, here's what I can tell you. The child tax credit payments would see a swift cutoff. December 15th would be the last payment parents get if this bill isn't passed. Payments go on December 15th, and they'll go anywhere between December 15th and 18th according to reports. But then, if the bill isn't passed, nobody else would get a payment until they file their taxes in 2022 for 2021. Now, experts have said that this would be devastating to lower income and middle income families who rely on this money entirely for food and shelter. And let me just explain this for a second, because this was the worry that some Democrats had, many Republicans had it as well, but the worry was, what happens if we start giving out, child tax credit payment, right? This advance, right? Stimulus, right? What happens if we give this out to the American people, these families, and they become reliant on this? What happens when it's time to end the program, or the program can't get extended? What happens? Well, all these families, all these children fall back into poverty. They can't afford food, can't afford shelter. What happens then? And that was the issue when this bill initially passed, was what happens if we can't extend this? And this was the reason why passing it for just 1 year, for 2021, was going to be a mistake. This is what many lawmakers said, that this was a mistake. It should go on for more than 1 year, because if we do it for 1 year, you give somebody this benefit, right? You give them $250, $300 a month, great, but then all of a sudden you just rip it away. It becomes very, very difficult to live if you are 100% reliant on this money. So we'll see what happens there. We also know Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen says Congress must address the debt ceiling immediately. We all know that Congress has until December 15th in order to get this passed. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell says that the government wouldn't default. However, after he said this, the government wouldn't default, some question whether he meant that the government was going to stay funded through the continuing resolution, or is he talking about the debt ceiling? Well, honestly, it doesn't really matter right now, because some are just hoping that Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen's math was wrong, but others say that they need to do a budget reconciliation immediately. There's no point in waiting. So we will see what happens. What I can tell you, though, is that something has to happen this week. We are 11 days away. It's December 4th right now. We have a week from this coming Wednesday to get this deal done. I don't know if that's enough time. The lawmakers are still expected to go on recess on December 10th. Again, that's a week from yesterday. So again, I don't know if we have enough time to do a budget reconciliation, but, and then again, this would require Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell to step up. But what could happen is we could see a budget reconciliation happen if all 100 senators agree to expedite the process. But that means Mitch McConnell would have to step up and help Democrats once again, which he vowed not to do just a few months ago. So we'll see what happens. But again, as I know more on that, I promise I will fill you in on those updates as well. Let's get to a weather update. I want to talk about climate change for a second. Did you know that Hawaii has seen more snow this time this year? Okay, this current year, at this time, Hawaii has seen more snow than Colorado. Let that sink in. Hawaii, where everyone goes in the wintertime to get away from the cold, right? Hawaii has seen more snow this year than Colorado. Well, this is just another example that lawmakers are going to use to show the shifts in climate. They keep on saying that we have to address this, and experts around the world say that we cannot ignore climate change any longer. And so this is why we're supposed to have this big social spending and climate bill, right? Because we have to address this. But again, if we cannot fix and get a grasp on the social spending aspect of this bill, we are not going to have the climate change aspect either. And so some question, should we split this entire bill? Should we modify it? And if we do, how do we do it? Right? What goes in this bill? And how expensive will it be? So there's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of discussions. But again, as I know more, I promise I'll come back on and share all the latest news and updates. Again, just want to thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.